Hello again, and I'm back with another update on my 2006 Impala SS restoration project. And what you see is the body, the painted body upside down. And it was painted over a month ago. And some updates on some things I've been accomplishing since then. And here's my new rear suspension cradle, and that's been finished out with a coat of POR 15. And you may remember last time, or I don't know, it wasn't last time, but a while ago, actually what that thing was coated with was first it was heavily brush coated with this stuff. I call it the silver slather coat. And then I decided to scuff the whole thing down, and I put, by spray application, 3 good coats of POR 15. And so, yeah, I did that actually last summer. That thing's been sitting around getting nice and cured, and I had to bring it out just for some fit checking purposes. It's just resting in here. It's not bolted on, but so that's what that looks like. And that thing is going to be very, very corrosion resistant. It has some very tough, rugged coating on it, and it's black the way it's supposed to be. I didn't want something silver. Everything's got to be black under there. I didn't want the looks of that sticking out. So there you go. And anyway, here's another cool thing I've been working on here. And so I've been over here. What you see here is the fuel door. This is the left-hand side, and I've been fitting my fuel door. And yeah, what you see here, this is my new paint, and it's still waiting for me to sand it down, buff it. It's got all kinds of dust and fingerprints on it and everything like that, but it's waiting for me to wet sand it down. I've done nothing but let it cure, and this paint on the fuel door is actually that's the original paint. It just managed to not get damaged. I could almost buff it back out if there's enough material on there, but I can't because I sandblasted the whole darn thing. You can see this has all been sandblasted. It's going to be refinished. This whole thing is going to get the silver slather coat, and then it's going to get black. It's going to get frame shot inside of here where there's, you know, the skin is crimped onto this frame, and there's space in between there, and that's got to get all internal shot in there, and then it's all going to be caulked shut, and it's going to be it's going to be as rust proof as I can get it. But this thing here was all very rusty. I had to take it apart and sandblast it. So what you see here is it's in the bare metal now. And the reason why it's in the bare metal is because I've made some heavy modifications on this. What I've done here is there's a flat spring that gives you the return spring, to make it to make it stay open when you open it, and make it stay closed when you close it. Well, that's gone. And what happened to that was I lost it a long time ago. I remember, oh man, it had to be over 10 years ago. I was putting gas in it, and the gas door jammed, and I was fighting with it, and it was all jammed up. And then something popped, and the spring it's like a big flat curved loop kind of thing that it kind of goes in here, and I'll explain this in a minute. But it kind of goes in here, and it loops up, and it comes down around the back. And anyway, for some cars you can get that spring new, but not for this car. And I might be able to get one that's close. I probably could get one that's close, considering the other modifications I've done. But I decided to do something completely different that I think turned out pretty cool. So what you see here, that's a magnet. And it has a hole in the middle. And these are these cabinet magnets that are made to, they've got a countersunk hole. And so you put a screw in there and bolt it onto something. So what you see here, this piece of metal, I added this. If that can focus, you can see I welded that on. This piece of metal is mine, And this piece of metal that this piece of, the original work ends here, and then my work starts here and goes out and makes this bracket to hold this magnet. And I welded a stainless steel nut on there that I could bolt down this magnet, and then my little piece of plastic fell out of there, but anyway, there's another magnet there. So this magnet holds it while it's open, and this magnet holds it while it's closed. And it lands on these rubber bumpers right here, and I fitted these doors, this door here, as you can see. You have to fit these fuel doors so they just fit nice and flush and smooth and perfect. And the way you fit them is you got to massage them a little bit. You actually got to bend them by hand. And as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see how good you can see, but believe me, it's very well fitted. I spent some time on it, and I got that thing to just fit perfectly centered and perfectly flush. And that's the way it's supposed to look. And, you know, like I said, I had this spring problem, and like I say, the spring sucks because what it does is it causes metal to metal grinding in here every time, and all that does is it breaks paint, promotes rust, and this thing was all rusted badly. I had to take it apart. There's a hinge pin there. I had that out. That pin it's one end of it is the ends are staked, and one end of it is kind of unstaked, so I can just slip it in and out. This is coming back out. I just did this for the fitting purposes. It's going to come back out and get all disassembled and completely slather coated and refinished, and then that's when I've got to, paint the outside. You don't want to do that until after you've got it fitted. You got all the work you want to have done, and then so anyways, and this piece of plastic here, well, what that is, it's just a Bondo spreader. But I had that shoved in here. And I'll show you what that's for is, well, you see, when I open it and I close it, it stays nice and stable. Well, here's what happens when I take that out. Now, it moves. See it move? See it move? Not very much. Okay, you see how it flexes? And, well, it does that OEM too, because there'll be a spring back here. And what happens is, it flexes because it only has two mounting points, one right there and they're right here. There's two mounting points, and that's it. And then so that sheet metal can flex, and it's reinforced from behind with the it's sandwiched together with the outer tub. But still, well, that's the reason why. Now, if I was really slick, I could have made a mounting point back here, because this tub is new. I put this outer tub on. I could have welded a stud if I knew what I was going to do back here, but I had no idea I was going to do all this. But yeah, I could have put a stud back here and make a mounting point so this can't move. And it moves OEM too, it does the same thing. Well, you see how I'm moving it because of the flexing? Well, I don't like that. Even though, see how I'm fussy. I don't like that. So what I did was I wedged this. This is just a Bondo spreader, but I found a suitable piece of plastic that's, about 1/8 inch thick. And I wedged it in there. Okay, now watch what happens. No movement. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get me a piece of black ABS and cut a little slab of it of the appropriate size. And I'll get some panel adhesive, and I'm just going to glue it in there so that creates something for the back of this to wedge against and support it. So it's not, so it's not springing around back there, and it's supported, which is the next best thing to having it bolted down. And yeah, another thing is, if you look closely, there's no contact here. Okay, so I put this bracket to hold the magnet, and then I had to put a metal piece to grab the magnet sticking up out of there like just a little metal tombstone. It's just folded into a U shape, welded on there, and it's not making contact. It comes right up to it. So I don't know. Can you see that? Yeah. See, there's daylight. It's coming right up to it, and it's not making contact. So I don't have to worry about the thing. You know, it's not going to bang the paint. Okay, it never touches the magnet. It just goes right up to it because it can't reach it because it stops here on these rubber bumpers, and that's what they're for. That's what's supposed to happen. That's by design. I did not want it. I did not want this reaching the magnet. I had it all fitted up so this comes right up to it and stops just short. And well, over here on the one that holds it open, well, that does make metal, right? It does make metal to metal right there. Well, there's nothing I can do because there's no stop, you know, and I can't easily put a stop. There's no place to put a rubber bumper in there. There ain't no one. That's the one that holds it open. So that's right there. See, it grabs it, holds it open. Well, my solution for that is I'm going to get me just some thin plastic, something thin, maybe no thicker than 1/16 of an inch, and just glue it to that magnet, and it'll still grab it, you know, and then it'll take the sound away from it, and make it sound dead. Take away that, and then it takes away the metal to metal contact, so that problem is solved. And then, you know, but look how this thing works. So I've got it ajar here, and I just give it a little nudge, and there it goes. It just pulls itself right in, and the same thing. Push outward on it, push outward, little nudge, a little more, and it just grabs it. Works really smooth, much more smoother. That spring is all herky-jerky. It's got all kinds of friction just grinding the places where it anchors. It fits into a slot. There's tabs. If there's a slot right there for it, and I don't even remember what it did back here, but I might have lost the thing anyway. I mean, I couldn't find it. I was, you know, I fell out and I did something. It was all rusty. This whole thing was badly rusted back here. I sandblasted the whole thing, so I you know, cleaned it all up, and then I just rethought the whole thing, you know, and I had this bright idea. Why don't you just magnets? And it works really great too. I'm really happy with that. I think it's really cool. And then I got stainless hardware here. This is all stainless, and it's all fitted. It does not. There's tons of space here. This is isolated with. There's a black nylon washer, if you can, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a black nylon washer that's under the stainless washer. So there's a stainless screw, a stainless washer, and then a black nylon washer under that to isolate it from the paint. And even with that stack of hardware on there, it doesn't come anywhere near, you know, you can't see it, but I could see it from inside there, and there's space. There's probably something close to 1/4 inch of space, and then so here's where that's where the screw comes through, and you can see I welded a stainless steel nut to both of these mounting points. So yeah, get my finger out of there, and you can see in the light, and you know, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if you can see the other one down there, but anyway, yeah, it's all been checked for fit, and you know. I just spent all day messing around with it, getting it to work perfect, getting it to fit perfect, and then so from there, take the thing out and finish it out with all of its coatings and everything, and then needs to be finished painted. I'll probably do that next spring. And in the meantime, my paint here is waiting to be buffed out, and then I had a whole lot of fitting to do. All of these tubs. Now this light is, maybe I'll turn the light off here. All these tubs have been fitted. There's a place right there. I put that in. That's a stainless nut that's been welded, and that is not OEM. There's an anchor point where both of the rocker cover and that plastic wheel tub liner. They sandwich, and the OEM arrangement was just there was a plastic clip that just clips the two of them together, plastic to plastic, but there's no anchor point. So I created an anchor point because I saw when I didn't have to add any metal. This metal was already there. I just folded it over. I saw that there was excess metal on the tub. When you put these tubs in, you got to trim them. You got to trim them out to make everything, They give you some extra metal. You got to trim them out. So I saw I had some extra metal here, so I just folded it over, and then fold it over here, and there's a stainless nut right in the middle. And it's hard to see because it's completely encapsulated with bed liner, and that's what I want. This thing is just solid as a rock here, and the only thing you see is those internal threads, and they're stainless steel, and everything else is completely encapsulated. So that provides an anchor point for the very bottom front of the wheel liner and the back of the rocker cover as it comes around here. And I told you before about how these are all threaded fasteners, and I'll get into that. Bunch of other things I did, like both of the fenders have been completely slather coated, with the silver slather coat inside and out, and the outside, this is all brush coated. I blocked this out. You can block this stuff out, block sand it with 80 grit. The thing is, it doesn't sand easy, so you got to use rough stuff. But then you can go ahead and leave this blocked out with 80 and then put your primer surfacer over that, and that's what I've been doing, and it works great. And the whole thing's slathered inside and out. As you can see, I didn't spare the Mambo sauce, and don't worry about those runs and sags. That means nothing. And I did the whole inside and out, and this inside, that's all going to be bed liner. Okay, just like what you see here is going to be on the inside of that fender. So first it gets a nice Hale and Hardy coating of slather coat, and I mean, it's laid on there thick, and then I'll just scuff that down, and then the whole inside of that is going to be bed liner. And what you see here is I welded stainless nuts in all of these mounting points here. If you can see the stainless threads. So, and you can see where I welded the nut to the inside. Everywhere I'm eliminating all of these plastic clips. These are the mounting points for the plastic wheel liner tub that goes in here, and they are not going to be. They used to be held on by this type of clip. You've all seen these before, and yeah, I don't like them. The only thing good you can say about them is, like, back in the old days, they used to use sheet metal screws, and those sheet metal screws would break paint and promote rust in there. So they are an improvement in that regard. But as far as their holding power, they don't really hold things tight at all. They hold it good enough to keep it from flying off in the wind, and that's about it. So I want, and this is all going to have nice stainless hardware, nice looking screws, button head screws and stuff, and washers and everything. And it's not going to promote rust either, because it's not a crummy sheet metal screw. And then this here is hidden because the rocker cover, this is the front of the rocker cover right here. You see the rocker cover. There's the dog leg area, and this one is for the right hand side, and that goes right in here, and it comes up to here. So from this line upward that's where the finished paint is, and then from here down, that's where that rocker cover comes up to there. So all of this stuff is hidden. So all of this stuff is going to be completely coated. The inside of the bed liner is just going to wrap around and come to the outside too. This whole bottom piece, this is very rust prone. On one of them, the left side was in worse shape. Both of these had to be sandblasted. I sandblasted the very bottom of these because they were rusty, but they were savable. They were not like too far gone. And I just sandblasted them real clean. And there's nuts there's a stainless nut I welded on there, and that's to hold the rocker cover. And there's There's another one there. And there's all of these things have been fitted. I spent a long time getting the mountings all squared away. The rocker covers on each end, they also sandwich and fit together to the wheel tub, or I mean the plastic liner tub. And there's also these little OEM mud guards. They're little they're not mud flaps, but they're little splash guards that kind of look like a little abbreviated mud flap, and that's all of those fit together and sandwich together. Well, all of those mountings have been sorted out, and everywhere they either used a crummy plastic clip like this, or in a couple of instances a crummy clip nut, which was that's like what was down here, a clip nut. And then that's all been replaced with threaded stainless fasteners everywhere. There's not a single. I just decided to eliminate every snap clip, every clip nut, every sheet metal screw, everything like that, and it's going to have some kind of threaded stainless fastener. And so, keeping with that theme, that's what I and all of this stuff. These fenders were on the car, and all of that was fitted together, and I got it all sorted out when all this was being welded on, fitted together. And then once I'm ready to, now I'm took it back out on the bench and started coating it with its coatings. So there'll be more coatings going on that. And here's these are my cans that I use, or my plastic Dutch boy. I've talked about these, but when you open one of these, you dump it in one of these, and then there's the hardened material that you can pop it out of there. And I've talked about this before, why I don't like to paint plastic, especially certain kinds of plastic, and I'm not going to paint avalanche trim ever. And I strongly recommend nobody should ever try it. You're going to regret it. And the reason why is because some types of plastic, all plastic is a problem. And some types of plastics are more of a problem than others. And this, a lot of it has to do with the solvent resistance, I think, because there are some plastics that solvent doesn't attack it at all. Like, the plastic that they use for these mixing cups, and you mix the paint up in there and it does not stick, and the solvent doesn't attack it. And that's there's certain types of plastic that solvent does attack and melts it in a little bit, and then you get some adhesion, and you get no melt in on other types of plastic, and this is one of them. I don't know exactly what type this is, but I can tell you there are certain types of plastics, just if you try to paint them, you're going to regret it. It's not going to turn out. So anyway, and speaking of plastic adhesion, well, this is another product I've been using that I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, but you have repair filler for these plastic trim. Like these are made of a plastic that will take paint. Okay, the OEM selected a plastic that can take paint because these are painted. And you have to put a flex additive in the paint, and you might have to use an adhesion promoter and things of that nature. And then they make special fillers to fix damage that it kind of works like Bondo, but it's different and it stays flexible. It's like plastic goo. And so here's one brand of it. Pick this up on Amazon, and works really good too. But here's the thing. When you buy this stuff, then this stuff pops up as a recommendation. It's made by the same company. It's made for use with this product. Well, I used it, and it does not work. And my recommendation is don't buy it. Okay? Go ahead and get this stuff. If you buy this stuff and then this stuff pops up saying, this is recommended too, don't bother with it because I tried it, and it actually, it does not promote adhesion. It actually makes the stuff it inhibits adhesion, if you can believe that. And that's completely, I don't know, that's just bonkers, because I see what this stuff is supposed to do. It's made of toluene and MEK and heptane and chlorinated solvent, and I'm familiar with these stuff. And these solvents are solvents that will soften plastic. If it's certain types of plastic, these solvents will soften plastic. I've used these before, and there's no doubt. And so when I saw this, I said, yeah, good idea, and go ahead and get a can of that. Well, anyway, I used it according to instructions. Okay, you clean the whole thing with prep solvent, and that's to de-wax it before you do any sanding and so forth, and that's standard procedure for everything you do. And then sand with 80 to 100 grit, and that's what I used. I did all the preparatory sanding and contouring and what have you with 80 grit, and it's all roughed up with 80 grit. And then they say apply a wet coat of filler prep, and then they say let it dry 10 minutes, because that's what it does. It just flashes off. Okay, so you just, and this is a brush and can type of thing, and so that's what you do. You just well, what I did was I sanded it. I blow the dust off real good with compressed air, and then I daub some of this stuff on there, and then I just let it sit until it flashes off and kind of dries. And then I go ahead and I apply this stuff. And then here's another thing. They tell you that it's sandable in 15 minutes. I don't think so. It'll harden up on you. It'll start to harden up on you and get rubbery. But I didn't sand it until the next day. I let it sit overnight and, let it get nice and firm. And then anyways, so there's no problem. What the point I'm making there is I did not sand it too early. Okay, it was plenty hardened up overnight. and it sands like it's supposed to, but it wouldn't feather. It didn't feather worth a shit. I can see it. And well, the reason why, when something doesn't feather, if it doesn't sand to a feather edge, that's usually an indication of an adhesion problem, okay? And I use this adhesion promoter. Well, I started investigating what the problem was. And what happened was I was very dissatisfied with how this, and this was on my, I use this in a number of places. I used it on these rocker covers. I also used it on this bumper. This is the rear bumper filler, and there's some damage right under the license plate, and you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but it's been applied there. It goes across there, and you can see where I feathered it out right here. Well, this all had to be redone because I put that adhesion prep on there, and it didn't work. And what I did was I just took a putty knife and scraped it all off. Okay, so everywhere I put that stuff on there, I had to scrape it all off and redo it because it wasn't feathering out right. And then so the next thing I did was I just I resanded everything with 80 grit, and then all I did was blow it off really good with compressed air and make sure there's no dust on it. And I skipped this stuff, did not use it, and I just put this stuff right on there, and then here's what you get. It feathers out just fine. It does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to sand out to a feather edge. And so, make a long story short, that's my recommendation. If you get that product and you see that prep solvent, I can't tell you why. I really can't tell you why. But it makes the adhesion worse, not better. In theory, it should be ideal. It should be just the thing. But it doesn't. And so there's the finished result. And it's been sanded out to a nice feather edge. Very nice adhesion. There's not going to be a problem there. So I guess I ran it on that long enough. And then here's what I've been doing for mounting points. These used to all be clips. This whole thing, clips. And the clips look like this. These hard, they're like nylon. And they just, they push into a hole. And they just snap right in. And, OEMs like to use that stuff because it assembles fast. And, the only thing good you can say about it is it's better than a sheet metal screw because at least, if you're careful, it won't break paint. But the way that stuff holds, anybody with any experience with this stuff knows that the way that stuff holds over the long term and stuff, it leaves something to be desired. And so I already talked about how in this center section, this used to be clips, all the way up and down, and that goes in this area. And can you see the holes? Because of the reflection out here. Here's a hole. But anyway, there's threaded holes in there. I can't use clips. I could not use clips if I wanted to because there's thick metal under there, and clips are made to go in sheet metal. They're not going to snap into something that's an 1/8 inch thick. So I drilled and tapped holes in there, and then so I've already talked about how I arranged for threaded fasteners on all of this center section, but then I decided let's keep going with that. So there's a threaded stud. Basically, I just took a bolt that's stainless steel, and it's been attached It's been attached to here with plastic welding, so it ain't going nowhere. There's a permanent stud right there. And that goes in this hole, and it's accessible. It just goes through, and it's accessible from the inside as long as you have that wheel liner, the tub liner out of there, and that's accessible, so you can get to that. And then this hole here, this one here, you know, I had to make a permanent alteration here, so you'll never be able to put a plastic snap-in clip here, but this is not. I could switch this over to the OEM clip if I wanted to. I just I welded a stainless bolt to a piece of stainless sheet metal. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a square, just like a little coupon, and it slips in there, and it's just like a square of stainless sheet metal there. That stud is welded to it, so that makes a stud for me right there. But it can be slipped out of there, and I can go back to this style of clip in this hole if I want to. And it goes to this hole, and there's where your access is. It's awful dark in here, but this is you know, the inside of the body. This is the C pillar, okay? And there's where the hole comes in, so you can reach in there as long as the body is stripped. Well, the thing is, in order to have access to that, though, there's trim that goes here. So in order to have access to that, you've got to have this trim off, which is not a problem. It's just if the day ever comes where you need to take this off, but you know, you shouldn't have to ever take this off again unless there's some kind of damage and it needs to be repaired, and that can happen. You know, you could have a little biff on a curb or something like that, and this thing needs to be taken off and needs to be repaired. Well, if you're going to take it off, on my car, the way I got it now, is you're going to have to take off the interior panel. And then I remembered the rear seat. I'm not sure if the rear seat blocks that or not, but you might have to take the rear seat out too. I don't remember. I don't remember if one blocks the other or not. But if I ever change my mind, I can go back and I can have one pop-in clip there. But as it is right now, I'm going to try it with threaded screws, just because I like threaded screws. I want that thing positively mounted. And then what you see here is there's a pair of welded, these are stainless nuts. They're welded to a strip of stainless sheet metal that I call it a dog bone, because that's what it looks like. There's one end, there's one end. And so that links them together. That's linked to, you can't see it. I use the goop. I use the repair goop to fix it into place. And there's where if you can see, you see the threads. And that stainless fastener, what those are for is those two holes hold the plastic tub liner. And so that's another place where I had two of those black clips that I don't want no more. And like I said, that I was showing you this corner here. This corner here is where that ends up right there on my my little mounting point that I added to it. And so there you go. You go 1, 2, 3, and then there's that corner. Those are all bolted down, plus the two holes that meet up with the wheel tub liner. Those are bolted down, and they're bolted down to studs over here. And then I'm coming up with the same thing for on this end. And there's a welded nut. There's a nut that I welded right there to take the place of a crummy clip nut. And there's another nut I welded there, take the place of a crummy clip nut that breaks paint. There's a nut that's been welded on there that's completely encapsulated with the bed liner. So there's stainless threads everywhere, stainless threads, stainless threaded fasteners. And then the front, same thing. This is where it bolts to that lower section of the fender that I showed you. So these also, there's no alteration. If they have to go back to OEM clips, they can. But I like this a lot better, and these are accessible too. You don't have to undo anything in the. They're easily accessible. There's just no reason not to have it. So those are, and you know, this one's shorter because the door swings inside there, and I want to make sure it misses it, and that's all. And it's going to miss it by a mile. I'm just making sure. This one I left long because there's no reason why. But the same thing. It's a flat. It's just a little coupon of you know, that nut. That nut is supposed to hold it tight. Anyway, yeah, there's a little flat coupon of stainless sheet metal, and there's a little screw has been welded to it, and the whole thing is stainless. All stainless hardware, cannot rust. And it'll be isolated with plastic washers, so it doesn't break paint on the metal that it bolts to. So you got those studs there, and there's a stud there. This is for the little splash guard, the little mud flap kind of mud guard thing, and that's been secured with plastic weld. There's a little nut there, and that's also for the mud guard, and it sandwiches together the mud guard and the tub. And I decided to just stick that in there with goop. I don't know why, but I use the repair goop, and it holds it really nice. And there's your stainless threads. That used to be a crummy sheet metal screw and a clip nut. Got rid of that. And then there's this hole here that goes to a tab that's on the bottom of the fender that I showed you, and it also sandwiches the mud guard and the wheel tub liner and this all sandwiched together to one mounting point that's going to have stainless threads. So there you go, that whole darn thing. And yeah, there's the other fender, same thing. This one's been blocked out, and it's been scuffed on the inside too. So it's ready. It's ready to. It's been completely scuffed. It's ready to take bed liner on the inside. It's all scuffed down. So that's what it looks like. You just solvent clean it, and I'm going to apply the bed liner with a brush. And then this is the same thing here. And this one here, I had to do some welding on it. I don't know if you can see that, but I had to build some weld up here. The metal was damaged. There was a crack here, and you can see where I just built up. There's the weld. I built up weld all around the outside of this hole here, and built it back up to make it thick and strong. And everything's all it's all very it's all safe and sound now. It's been sandblasted, completely spotless. And like I said, there's a welded nut there. There's a welded nut there. Same thing. And so yeah, that's what I got going with that. And yeah, here's the filler pipe. Filler pipe for the gasoline. The filler neck. And I upgraded this to stainless hardware. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, it's threaded. Okay, what they give you, all they do is they put stamped holes in here that are just like starter holes, and the OEM fasteners are just sheet metal screws, plain sheet metal screws. And what they do is, everything rusts in there. So what I did, the hole is just the right size. You can run a 1024 tap in there. So there you go, upgraded to all stainless hardware. So that thing will all bolt in there with stainless hardware. So yeah, I guess that's going to do it for now. So, oh yeah, this is some more stuff where I welded a stainless nut. These are for, it goes in the, it goes right in this section here. This is the bumper cover, and this is what, this is what holds that goes right there, only it's inside of the rubber, and it goes there. That's what, you put that inside of the rubber, and that's what bolts that to there. And these were rusty, and I took them out and sandblasted them all clean, slather coated them, and I welded new stainless nut. So all fasteners will be stainless. And yeah, there's another piece there. I had to sandblast and acid soak that. And that's all been slather coated, and these are for the front. There used to be, let's see here, this used to be, they wanted a clip to go in there, and I decided I'm going to replace that with a threaded fastener. So I just welded a nut, stainless nut. So that's what I do with everything, and then it's all been slathered. These have all been sandblasted and had their nuts welded on. There's another one there, and slather coated, and so there you go. And so yeah, I guess that's going to do it. So thanks for watching, and so long.